me, as the one and only Paul Friends, welcoming you to Starfleet Universe On Call. And tonight we have a special thing that I'm going to try to do tonight. I am going to I'm going to try to teach a little bit about Federation Commander, learning how to play it, using the online client tonight. And hopefully we'll see how it goes. Obviously, if you could send me some feedback, that'd be great. Either sfuoncall@gmail.com, it's SFUONCALL@gmail.com, or go on the YouTube and put a comment there. Obviously, if you are not watching the video either on Twitch or on YouTube, then this might not go so hot. Now, I'm hoping to say enough so people who are listening via the podcast can actually follow along. Obviously, this is going to be a very visual type of podcast, so I would recommend either going to twitch.tv pretty quickly, because I forget how all of my videos aren't saved. I think because I got a free account, so I only have so many videos that they save. But definitely on YouTube, they'll have the video for as long as they keep me around. Because hey, you never know, I might say something controversial like SFB rules or something like that. They might say, "Oh no, not that," and it's too controversial for even YouTube, which is hard to imagine. But you never know. It's not like I have sponsors on this podcast, so I don't have to worry about monetization. Thank you, and such like that. So, with that in mind, we will start this process by first. Okay, I'm going to switch over to my online client. I've already logged in now. What I've logged in as, I'll show you. Let me log out and I'll log back in. Let me type in my password real quick, and I put it in authenticated mode so that I can access the client without actually logging in and interacting with people. That means for those of you in the audience, if you are new, you have to have an account to use the authenticated mode, which is kind of an offline kind of mode. Okay, I'm going to bring up start a new game, and this was the icon for starting, the one that says Federation Commander Klingon border. That's the icon for Federation Commander. So you bring that up, and let's just it's called Learning Room. Okay, bring up that. Now, another reason for doing this is because I got a question on Facebook this past week, and the one thing about that they kind of mentioned, it was kind of noticed, was, well, do you have any tutorials on how to use the client? And I have some tutorials, some quick ones. Okay, how to do this, how to do this, how to do this for Federation Commander portion. Problem with that, they're around 8 years old. So, given that, I think I should update things a bit, and hopefully with people, they can actually learn, in this case, learn about Federation Commander and how to play it online and just offline, So with any game, on using the online client, the first thing you have to do is you have to put a ship on the board. Okay, so let's just go up the top of the screen here. Let's do this. And let's expand a little bit. And let's give it just a little bit of color. At the moment, I'm going to switch the map color to be, let's say, green. Okay, that's an interesting color. Okay, let's start with 1501, and let's I right click and I add a piece here. There's multiple ways of adding things. That's one thing to bring up this list. The other one is, which is right here, which is you can add a piece, in which case you have to enter in your position where you want. Otherwise, it puts it at the very top corner, 0101 location. Also, if you want to, you can go up the board and say add piece here. So there are multiple ways of adding a piece. Sorry, that's the problem. For those of you who are not watching the video, I accidentally scrolled, in which case it did that. Maybe I should have switched it over for scroll bars, but I didn't do. Okay, let's add a piece here. Okay, let's choose relatively innocuous one. Let's go with the D7 because in my mind, the best ship to start teaching is the D7. One, it's familiar. And that's number one. Number two, the one thing that the D7 has is that it's not multi-turn. It's single. It's immediate firing. You don't have to worry about tracking and all. Now, when it comes to obviously the client manages multi-turn arming weapons and helps you to manage those, and go through the flow there. But let's simplify the process again. I'll select the D7, add that. Let's call it. Okay. Let's call it con. Whoops! I forgot to do that. Okay. Another what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna add. I'm gonna add the Zinti. Let's go for. We're gonna put it on the board. It's 1709 at the moment. Let's go add the Zinti frigate at 1709. And I'm just gonna say target. Basically, it's gonna give us something to fire at. Again, this. Yeah, let's leave it facing A. Now, one thing, I'm not sure if you noticed or not, there's the option to track movement. What that does is it will automatically add the side slips and turn counters onto the board. That's an option. Obviously, I've never seen anyone say no to that, but it is an option. And if you want to, you can say, I don't want to track that. Now, just to let you know, it will actually still track turns and so forth, and you will be still good to go when it comes to that. But, it will tell you, okay, you went five hexes forward before you needed to go forward, before you turned. So it helps you track that turn mode. Okay, and I'll close the add window, and I screwed up and placed the D7 the wrong direction. So what I need to do is just go and move, change facing, and it's now facing D. Okay, now we show, and over here, oops, that's not the wrong one. Yeah, there it is. Actually, this is the right one. This is the way it is currently. This might change, but here's the D7. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through some of the basics for even if you're not using the online client. And that is these shield boxes. They're shields. They protect you from enemy fire. And in Federation Commander, unlike Starfleet Battles, you don't have to do anything. They're automatically included, and you don't have to charge them. There's no energy cost related to using shields. It's just a part of the ship, and it's one of the simplifications that Federation Commander did. Anything that's in this pink color, those are weapons. Obviously, I pointed them out, so let's go with that. Okay, you'll see this like FX here, FA, L, LR, RRR, FA. Those are your firing arcs. Your ship, the weaponry ships have limited fire arcs. They can't fire in any direction. They only can fire in certain directions because of where they're mounted on the ship, and in some cases because the weapon itself doesn't support expand what you would consider expanded arcs. So in the case of these disruptors only can have a forward arc. Now it goes on this line. Okay, let's go over here. From here to here, so all along what's called shield number 6. This will be shield number 6. This will be shield number 2. So it goes from here to here, here to all along this long. So let's do this. Let's do an added line of sight here, and another line of sight as far as a tool, and here. This is the firing arc for it goes from here all the way over to here. That's the forward firing arc. This extended firing arc, in the case, I'll use the frigate here. The extended firing arc would be from here to here. Let's go here. Basically from here wrong way. I'm thinking about rear extended, not forward extended. Forward extended is here all the way around to here. So those phasers have really, really good arcs. Those 3 phasers up in the boom. These back here, they're right. It's called right and right rear, and these over here are left rear. So right arc would be over here. Right rear is from here off out your shield number 3 out your shield number 4. So that's right rear. Left rear is out shield number 4 here all the way out your shield, directly out your shield number 5. And then of course left again, shield number 6 all the way around to shield number 5, all the way, these hexes all the way around. So let's remove these from the board. Okay, so that will give you an idea what the weapons are. Now, of course, we have also drone racks in FedCom, Federation Commander. What drones are basically they're missiles that you launch at your opponent. Now, one thing about drones, in a tactic sense, just to help you understand what they'd be used for. Yes, you fire them at your enemy. Most of the time, you don't expect them to actually land on, actually hit your enemy. Which I know that sounds like a really weird thing. But tactically, it makes a lot of sense. Because what you normally use, now obviously for a Klingon D7, it's got 2 drone racks. It's not going to be as much what's called mobile terrain. But that's a lot what it is. But in the case of the Klingon, what you might just use it for is for absorbing damage. Absorbing, not damage, but phasers that are being fired at you. Or normally be fired at you. You have them fire at your drones instead, or force your opponent to hold back some weapons fire so it can take care of the drones. Like if you decide to go in first and have your drones follow. Okay, and then of course one thing I mentioned here, which is the blue boxes. Those are all power. This is how much power is generated for each turn of undisabled boxes. You got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 impulse. You got 4 reactors here, and then you have 15 right warp and 15 left warp. So, actually, if you scroll here, you'll see currently the energy is 42. Why is it 42, may you ask? Well, it's 42 because of, in addition to that power systems, at the beginning of Federation Commander, you get the power from the batteries. Now, normally, what happens in a turn is at the end of the turn, any leftover energy that you have not used, then you can actually take that energy and put that back into, put into the batteries so it can go on to the next turn. And so that you'll have more energy for the next turn if you don't use it all the first turn. Now, it's limited by the number of undisabled batteries that you have. So that's a reminder that, of course, we have transporters. That's for hidden run raids. Tractors, you can tractor ships or even I was gonna say seeking weapons, but that's only drones. You cannot tractor plasma torpedoes, which I'm not showing here. I'm not gonna go into plasma torpedoes at the moment. Now, this thing, like what's in like this peach color, forward hull and rear hull, that basically it's internal structure. Crew quarters, the bowling alley. If we lose the bowling alley, it's all is lost. But things like that, things that are not consequential to the actual operation of the ship. They're there for the crew so they can actually live on the ship. You might lose the kitchen and so forth. But when you're in combat, you're not going to be eating something, You're not going to go to the kitchen. You're not going to be sleeping in your bunk. So no worries there. Now, for those of you that are watching, the one thing I grabbed, which was called First Missions. First Missions is the basic rules for Federation Commander, and it's a free version of the rules. It's trimmed down so it has the basics, so you can learn what about Federation Commander. And as pointed out here, fleet scale rules. There's 2 scales: fleet scale and squadron scale. I'm showing the squadron scale here. Now, First Mission is entirely written for fleet scale. The thing is, scale doesn't matter. I think more of that's first. Let me just look, because I think this is correct. Nope, there it is. See, you have some in First Mission. You have some free ships here, and if you notice, like in this case, the D7 battle cruiser. If you compare it to what's in the client, you'll notice that it's half the weapons, approximately. So instead of having 4 disruptors, you've got 2 disruptors. Instead of having 15 warp, you've got 8 warp. For 8 left warp, 8 right warp. So, but that's all. It's part of the free product. You only get the fleet edition, which, the whole idea of FedCom First Missions is that to help you learn the rules and learn the system. So moving onward, okay, the first thing you do whoops, did not mean to press the fire button. That was a mistake. Okay, I've got 2 ships here. Got your Klingon, you got your little frigate, which we'll play target practice on now. Normally, I might be scared. I'd be concerned a little bit because that's 4 drones, and Lord knows I only got so many phasers to destroy those drones, because each drone takes 4 points of damage to kill. So, and you only have so many phasers, and that's one thing about weapons. Weapons can only be fired once every turn. In addition to having the limitation of those firing arcs, i.e., what you're firing at must be in that arc, you also can only fire that weapon once. Now, there's some special weapons, very special, that you can fire more than once, but we're not going about that's more advanced because of its different ship. But just to let you know, those do exist, but for the most part, you're allowed to fire once per turn. A weapon once per turn. That is the general rule. So the first thing you do in the game, because if you notice here, it says here, in turn 0, which I know it sounds strange, but it is turn 0. Pulse 1, which is energy allocation phase. So what you start with is you start by doing an energy allocation. Now, energy allocation is very, very trimmed down in Federation Commander. So let me go over to here. Okay, and what I'll do is this actually. Let me floating windows. Let me bring up the EA panel. Okay. If you notice, it's very small because there's only certain things. Now doubling. Okay, let's first begin the EA. Okay, you got 3 batteries. Double. Doubling is only for Orion ships. They have the ability to double their engines, double the amount of power that's being generated by the engines. So, also, so it's currently the D7 has 42 power available. Speed, let's give it a nice speed of 16. Only 26 available. Now repair you would actually use for repairing your shields. So at the moment I don't have any shield damage, so I don't need to do anything for repair. And after that, that's it. I have nothing. I'm going to leave my target just sitting there at speed 0. That okay, and I say yes. We always have this confirmation because after you do this, after you say okay, I'm done EA, you cannot change it. That's it. That's your speed. That is what weapons you have allocated for that turn. In the case of, as I mentioned, the multi-turn army weapons. So I'll say yes, sure. I'm good to go. I'm rocking and rolling. Is what I'm doing. Okay. Now after I got the EA, I don't need to look at that anymore. So I'm just gonna hide it behind there. So after that's done, we go over here and we say, okay, we're done the energy allocation phase. So let's go here. Click next phase. It'll automatically announce what the speed is. And I'll say, okay, here's your change speed. Now we go to the speed change phase. Now, this is, let me go over here. And that is sequence of play, which is, I'll go through it real quick with you, and then you'll see what happens. Okay, so the impulse procedure for each impulse, which there are 8 impulses per turn. Okay, first on the first impulse, speed change phase, you can pay an additional energy token, which is based on how much movement, what your movement cost is. In the case of this D7, its movement cost is 1. In the case of the target, you see the movement cost here is 0.25. It's basically 1/4. So it's a smaller ship. It can use smaller engines. It doesn't require as much energy to go as fast. So that's how that works. After the speed change, okay, do you want to increase? So it gives you an opportunity to increase it by 1. So So I'm not going to speed change. So next one is movement. Now, movement is broken into sub pulses. So you notice those pulse, movement phase, pulse 1, movement phase, pulse 2. Now I move. So there's multiple ways of moving in online client. Number one is you can click on, you can use this game control window here, and you can click the arrow. That's one way of doing it. Another way to do it is if you imagine this as a keypad, 7, 8, 9, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3. You can use if you have a numeric keypad on your keyboard. I'll show you mine, which is like this. So oops, sorry about that. See, here's the keyboard, and basically the arrows here. Oops, sorry. The arrows here, I didn't realize I was hiding it, map to this keypad. So that in the case of, if I press, in the case of a Mac, if I do a Command 7, or actually let's do Command 8, it will go straight. Now if I want to turn, 7, so I do the move, 9, and so forth. That's another way. Now the last way of moving in the client is the old-fashioned click and drag. So you can move it that way. Now let's undo the movement. Now if you want to turn, hold down the shift key. Oops. Okay, wrong one. It's actually the control. It's been a while. Sorry. Yeah, if you just do click and drag, it side slips. So let's undo that move. And basically, you should be able to turn. I forget what it was. It's been a while since I've actually used it that way. I always use the this pad here or the keyboard. So I apologize for not knowing that off the top of my head tonight. But that's two ways of moving. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to move it using the keyboard. Now, it's okay. It's next move, next pulse. Nobody moves. Next pulse, I move again, so I'm going to go straight ahead. Next pulse, defensive fire. Now, defensive fire is special. As here it is, and as described in the rules, it says defensive fire phase. This is used in Klingon board to defend against seeking weapons. First, okay. Well, okay. In the first missions, you don't use seeking weapons, but I'm going to go a little farther than the first missions. Okay. At least, I might go to seeking weapons, but I don't think that's going to be tonight. We're going to focus on direct fire weapons. So normally, as I said, the direct fire phase is used for seeking weapons. Now, just to let you know how that interaction plays, for those of you who have played Starfleet battles, defensive fire, it's really weird for you when it comes to SFB. It's really weird. And this is why I say that. Because that when a seeking weapon hits you, quote unquote, hits you during the subpulses, you're still allowed one final last gasp to fire your weapons at fire your weapons at those seeking weapons before it actually hits your ship. So what would normally happen is the seeking weapon would hit your ship, and then you would then just move the seeking weapon with your ship as your ship moves around. And you then would, in the defensive fire phase, you then would fire your weapons at that seeking weapon. Okay, next one is offensive fire. Now this is where people love offensive fire, because as defined by the rules, ships can fire each other in accordance with their combat rules. Any resulting damage is resolved. See damage allocation. All fire is simultaneous, so any weapon destroyed during this phase can still be fired during this phase, assuming it was able to fire otherwise, i.e. it was not disabled and it was in arc. During this phase, each player must resolve all the fire on one ship before moving to the next ship. So if you have multiple ships, you'd actually do one, then the other, then the other, then the other. Didn't know that. Forgot about that. The player controlling a given ship must engage its targets one at a time, declaring... That's weird. The player controlling a given ship must engage his targets one at a time, declaring each case all the weapons that being fired at that target before rolling die on any of them. He may assign 2 or more weapons to fire at a single target. If a target is destroyed by one weapon, others still fire using energy and causing nothing. If the weapon is fired, mark. Okay, this is for when you actually have the cards, which is marked that weapon on the weapons used track. Because if you go here, here it is. You have this track here, which shows the weapons used. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You would if you're using the cards, you would just mark that down. If you buy the cards, which I would recommend you do, I would then use a China marker. It's like a crayon almost. Either that, or you can use the wet ones. For the whiteboards, you can use those on the laminated cards and just mark them down there. That's usually the way it's done. Okay, so in this case, for me, I don't think I'm close enough. But while I'm here at offensive fire, what I should do is explain to you range. When it comes to games, there's 2 ways of marking range. As strange as this might sound, because to me, it's the first time I found about this, I thought it was kind of weird myself. And that is I'm going to count from the Klingon to my target. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Now, in the client, if you want to, you don't have to actually count it yourself. There's a range tracker. What this allows you to do is keep track of the range between 2 counters. Or if you want to, you also can select a position. So you always can say, okay, how close am I to this single position? That's most part is not important unless you have certain like a certain terrain feature, or don't mind the rain. Or if you have other things like a bomb that will go off, or a planet, and there's something special about that planet at certain ranges. So in that case, you might want to keep it based on a position. So I'm just going to put in the target. So then I'll just leave it. Leave it over here. So now you can just see this range, and so it makes it easier. So you don't have to count. Now, to be honest, I know a lot of players, unfortunately, they get so used to playing with the online client that when they try to use the board, an actual physical board, they have a hard time because they're so used to these additional features. For example, automatic range tracking. So they don't have to worry about, okay, what is the range? Okay, I have to look at it because the thing is when you're in person and you're playing face to face, not that you would do that possibly because in this age of coronavirus, the pandemic age. But if you might do it. But in that case, you want to count the range without, in some cases, allow your opponent knowing that you're counting the range. So you don't want to go, on the board go, wait, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Oh, okay. 3 and 7. Now, yeah, so this is range 1. From here to here is range 1, which is from 1503 to 1603. That's considered range 1. Now, in some games, that would be considered range 2. Range 1 is within the same hex. But, that's the way they do it. Doesn't matter here. That's the way we do it, which is if it's in the same hex, it's considered range 0. Now, it doesn't mean they're right here, but that means they're very close range. Okay? We're not close enough, so I'm not doing firing. Okay, other functions, that's when we get into other wonderful things. Where am I? Sorry, I lost my place in first missions. Here, the sequence of play. There it is. Okay, other functions. Those include tracking other ships, using transporter, using the labs, and other things. There are things like special sensors, which are on scouts, which allow you to do multiple intel actions and some other special features of those special system. So at this moment, you don't have to worry about that because we're not covering that. But I just want to mention that's what's in there. Of course, launch phase, that's where you launch your seeking weapons in the case of the battle cruiser or even the Zinning frigate drone racks. So, that and okay. So we're going to launch phase. That's what that happens. Okay. But that's for impulse 1, turn 1, impulse 1. Now, as noted in the rules here, and I mentioned before, there's 8 impulses. So you repeat this procedure for the 8 separate impulses. So it's continued, no speed change. Next. Okay, let me go over here so people can see where it is on the board. And that is, okay, no, I don't move, so I don't move. Next phase, pulse 2, I move. Next phase, pulse 3. Oops. That's one of those special things, which is, I don't move here. In the client, I go, oh, I want to move. And this is, oh, wait a minute. This piece doesn't move this impulse. So this ship does not move this impulse. So do you want to move anyway? Now, that's the one thing about the online client, is that it is a play aid. It tells you you're going to do something illegal. It does not stop you from doing that illegal, because there are certain situations that you might actually be able to do it. In that case, like special scenarios, special scenario rules, which can't be baked into the client. Things like that, because Lord knows, I don't think anyone wants me to write the rules for every possible scenario. It's better to have a play aid that helps you to run and play the game, instead of trying to completely restricting you in what you can do. So I'll say, no, don't move. Okay, going to the next phase. Oh, yep, I move. And next phase. Okay, no defensive. Still not close enough. Offensive. Skip, skip, skip. Next impulse. Okay, speed change. Nah, I'm gonna stay the same. So movement phase. Okay, let's go on to move. Okay, and then no, nope. Okay, I'm gonna side slip towards my target. Do you hear the theme from Jaws? Dun 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 dun. As the Klingon slowly approaches. Okay, defensive fire, no defensive fire, no offensive fire. Okay. Okay, speed change, no speed change for impulse. We've gone on to impulse 4. We're going to say no speed change. Okay, movement phase. No, first impulse, no, I don't move. Second impulse, yes, I move, so I'm going to move. Now, one thing to remind you about, I forgot to mention this, there's two things when it comes to movement. Number one, turn mode. There's a number of hexes you need to move forward before you can turn. This is completely based on your speed. Actually, two things, actually. Speed and what's called turn mode. Turn mode is the agility of your ship. AA is the most agile. Then you got A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and they basically get worse and worse and worse and worse. G is being the worst. That's usually reserved for tugs or very, very large battleships. I think the Hiver battle, not battle, the Saturnian Hive ship. That's what I'm thinking of. I'm sorry. Hivers are a empire. The Hive ship is a Saturnian ship. The Hive ship is very large, and I'm pretty sure that the turn mode on that is G. So it's very poor maneuverability, in which case, don't go too fast because you have to go a lot, pretty far. And so you have what's called a slip mode, a quote unquote slip mode of 1. That means after I slipped here, I have two options. I can either go straight ahead onto the next hex, or since my turn mode looks like it's quite completed, I could turn. But those are my two options. But so either I can go straight or I can turn. I could not do another side slip because there's a side slip mode of 1. So you need to go forward 1 hex before you can side slip again. And go forward another hex and side slip again. So you can't just keep on side slipping. Now, there is one way of getting around that. It's kind of weird, and I'll show you shortly. Okay. Movement phase. There it is. Huh. I got that. Okay. So, and let's move forward. Actually, let's undo that. You know what? I want to get as many weapons on my target as possible. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to side slip. I'm backwards, so I have to do it that way. And then next phase, defensive fire, no defensive fire. Now, okay, offensive fire. Now I got a range 1. I think I've got them dead to rights. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click the fire button. Now I have to click on all units. All units is mainly meant for a demo mode in the client because it allows you to select not just the ships that are your opponents, but it also allows you to fire at your own ships. which in most cases is crazy. So that's why there's an all units. So I'll say all units, I'll say target, and there's two ways of selecting what you want to fire. One is the checkbox. So let's look at this. Okay, on fire phase 1, as you notice, this gets highlighted over here. Everyone's, oh, nothing on fire phase 1. I'm going to fire that disruptor. That's weird. That should be selected. That's a bug. But you know, you should be able to select here, and this also becomes checked. And you see the target selected, and let's go here, and I want to fire. There's the phaser 2s here and here, because it's right front right and left rear, left front left, and right rear. So let's fire those two phasers. Whoops, that's the wrong one. Let's bring it over here. Okay. And now, when you fire at your weapons, each weapon has a certain amount of energy that is used to fire that weapon. And so, in the case of a phaser 1, when you fire it as a phaser 1, it takes 1 point of energy. Same for a phaser 2. For a phaser 2, it takes 1 point of energy. Now, given that, you know, the 1 point, so that's why you have to keep an eye out up here. The total energy. Currently, I have 26 power available to me. So that's, so the moment if I with all these, I'm gonna fire 5 phaser 1s, 1, 2, 3, 4, well, 3 phaser 1s and 2 phaser 2s. That's gonna be 5 points of power. So I'll say fire. Okay. So that, what that does, it doesn't actually roll damage. What it does is it will then announce what you're firing to everyone in the chat room, include obviously most importantly to your opponent. So that announces all that fire that you're going to be doing. So now what you have to do is go over here. Okay, so what you normally would do if you're playing against your opponent, you say, okay, firing P1s, and then you would go here and say, okay, I have 3 P1s, so pick 3, and then see how this is 1 dice and then 2 dice. If you have a weapon that requires 2 dice, I would highly recommend that you use the 2 dice, button. The reason being is that it will automatically add up the dice for you. And just a reminder, whether you choose the 1 dice or 2 dice, the result is going to be the same. That's because if you think about it, the random number generator that's used is produced, the random numbers based on a 6-sided die. And whether you decide to do it individually or have the program automatically add the 2 dice together, makes no difference. The results of the random dice will not change, because random numbers are algorithmic to a certain degree. But you know, it's pseudo random. You know, it's not real random. It's not like we're using white noise. So anyway, fire, okay, that's 6, 4, and 2, and then firing P2s. Normally, that if you're in a live chat room, this actually would echo. So there, firing 2 phasers 2. So okay, we got those. Now, if you want to add up it, we have this weapon here. And what you do is you click on which the range here. So what was the range? The range was range 1. Okay, and what were the die rolls? The die rolls for range 1, for phaser 1 was 6, 2, 4. That's a total damage of 15. Now we want to add in the phaser 2s. We have 1 and 3, so we have a 1 and a 3, 24. So we do a display. The reason why we do a display is to kind of announce how much we think damage we did. Normally what would happen then is to verify, because, hey, we make mistakes. To verify, what you then normally do is have your opponent add up, do the totaling himself. You know, go to the weapons chart as shown, click on the boxes, you know, the different cells, different numbers, and the second boom, and then he'll display what he thinks the total damage is, and if they match, then you're good, no problem. If not, then you have to figure out who's right. Is it that I clicked on the wrong thing, or is it that he clicked on the wrong thing? Because Lord knows there have been more than one time where a person thought they were firing, that they were on the weapons chart, they were clicking on like range 2, and they actually were range 3. And it was an honest mistake. You know, they didn't double check to see what range they were firing at. And they forgot when they brought it up, you know, we have short-term memory loss kind of thing. And so he did that. You know, it's like, oh, well, and then, so that's why you want to verify. It's like, you know, that's wrong. You were range 3. And so the total is this. And then they go, oh, yeah, you're right. I was clicking on the wrong boxes. So, just so you know how that works. Okay, so 24 points. So at that point, what you would do is you go over here. This is weird. Okay. I ran into a bug, because I should be able to do things here. Okay. Well, normally what... this is embarrassing. I will definitely work on that for next week. For next time. But what you do is then you would go here, you click go with the allocate damage. And what that would bring you up is a screen. So actually, let's try that. If you could hold on just for a moment. Let's do this. Let's take our game. Let's save it. Now, demo people can't save games, but I'm going to do this. I'm going to save Fedcom earning. So I'm going to save my game for later. But instead, what I'm going to do is this. Save the game. I'm going to actually exit this game. Now log out, log in, and this time what I'm going to do is I'm going to log into the server, because my guess is that's what my issue is. Okay. 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 Start up the game, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go here. I can go load game. And please, yeah, load for both sides and load for your opponent. In the case, because I'm by myself, I want to load both. So there. So let's go over here. Target. See, now I thought so. So now that was 24 points of damage. So let's go over here. Damage was because everything went through shield number 1 here. and that was 24 points of damage. So there's going to be 9 internals. Now, if you notice, there's no leak damage because there was internals. Reinforcement, it's got some batteries, so 1, 2, 3. Because that's one thing you can do with batteries. Batteries define how much reinforcement you can do. You're going to apply to a shield for a single volley. So you can use three batteries here. So I got a shield. So it's got plenty of power. It's got 18. So 1, 2, 3. So reinforcement, I can use up to 3 points reinforcement. So it brings the number of internals down to 6. And now, one thing that's available in FENCOM is this interesting way of allocating. There's two of them. There's normal, there's target weapons, and target power. It depends on what you're trying to do, and so that will modify things a little bit depending upon what you roll. I'm not sure this. Let's look at the right. Let me look at this. We'll see it if it has combat. Right, there's firing arms, volley definition, shields. Just a reminder that in the case of this, shield number 1 goes from this hex line here to this hex line. Shield number 2 goes from this hex line to this hex line. Shield number 3, or back here, goes from this hex line to this hex line. 4, this hex line to this hex line. 5, this hex line to this one. And finally 6, this one to this one. Now, so depending upon where the ship is, in this case, I'm definitely firing on shield number 1. But there's always what's called the shield line. So if I was actually fired right from here, back, okay. Oops, let me cancel this. If I was back here, then comes the whole fun stuff, which is deciding which one it is. If I recall correctly, so here it is. Split shield banners in cases where the line strikes exactly in the corner, as I just showed you. For example, if a ship is in hex 0804, firing a ship that's in hex 0706, the owner of the target ship may select either of the 2 shields. So if I was firing from range 2, and in this case, then the person owning this ship, we could decide, do I want to go shield number 1 or shield number 2? Oh, sorry, shield number 6. And, which is you decide based on the tactical situation. For example, if you're moving quite fast, you might want to have it on your shield number 1, because then he fires, you fire, you turn. Now you've got a fresh shield facing him, and versus that and he has no way of getting to it. So if he's here and you turn, yes, your shield number 5 here would actually be facing him, so you could take it on shield number 6. But if he decides to het, and he goes faster than you, that's the one thing I have not talked about, which is high energy turns. But we'll save that for next time. Some of the more advanced things. But in that case, you can actually get to your shield number 6. But anyway, let's go back here. Let's say allocate. I'm just going to do a normal allocation, okay? So damage was 24. Reinforcement is 3. Okay, like that, and then again 6 internals. Okay, and it'll automatically roll them. Now, there are certain situations in the client that you have to take control. It will prompt you in the case if you hit a phaser. Okay, which phaser do you want to hit? Well, phaser number 1, 2, or 3, or 4 in this case. Um, Now, also, you have the ability to save like your systems. In this case, like if you hit the disruptor, the client would prompt you, say, you know, do you want to take frame damage instead of your disruptor? Because you can. That's one of those damage allocation rules, which is, okay. In this case, it says once the damage was struck, it's first applied to facing shield. Each point of damage disables one shield box. Mark the shield and disable the boxes. If there were more damage than scored on the shield, remain scored one point damage to disable one box on the ship card. There's a simple procedure that includes die rolls and a chart for the first missions, which is the one I have here. You will have specified the owner simply marks damage points on non-shield box he wants. So, in the case of first missions, instead of rolling the die, and let me go over to, let's hide that. Give me a sec. There it is. Okay. So that's one thing that gets announced, which is transport of lab, aft hull, forward hull, aft hull. That's the 6 internals. After taking 24 points of damage, it only got 6 internals, which is good. It's still a viable ship. But as I mentioned in the rules, in first missions you get to decide which things get actually disabled. So there's your damage allocation. So go on to the next phase. The next phase is the other functions. No, nothing else to do. Launch phase, not launching. Speed change phase. I think what I'm gonna do is give me back here. I'm gonna do a +1. I've hit this Zinni hard, but I want to move quickly, hit him hard, and then move out of the heck, move away. So, oops, forgot. First impulse, don't move. Next impulse, I move. So I'm going to go straight ahead. And what that does, and now we're on the same hex. If you notice, when you hold your mouse cursor over the ship, you'll see that it lists all units that are in that hex. You'll see the D7, you'll see the frigate and the name of the ships and their facings. And then also their speeds, what their current speeds are. So it gives you an idea of what you're doing. Now, I realized that was a dumb move. I shouldn't have actually increased my speed because, okay, we go on to the next phase. Well, at this point, what I want to do is actually one of those special things in FateCom, which is not in SFU, which is called cancel movement. You can use your power. Okay, go over the con here. See, currently I have 20 points of power. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cancel my movement. So I'm movement canceled for a con. So then go on to the next phase. I still want to stay at range 0. So I want to cancel movement again. And then onto impulse 4. I'm on to the defensive fire phase. Okay. Offensive fire. Now range 0 with my disruptors. Now, there's one thing you should know about disruptors. I'm pretty sure it's okay. Actually, this is not the case. Okay. And that is okay. Here's here's the energy cost is 2. Overload cost actually is 2 plus 2, which is 4. I probably should change that. But, okay, so range 0, it's an automatic hit. So I've got, it'll take 4 points of energy to fire on the Zinni. So let's go over here where our offensive, so let's go and let's fire. That's weird. That's bad. Okay. And all units again. This time I'll fire my target. So I'm going to fire all 4 of these. Now that's going to take 16 points of power. Actually, no, if I, let's make this. Okay. It's all marked for overload. So fire. Announces that, okay, Khan has fired Disruptor range 0 in overloaded mode. And if you notice, now we're down to 2 points of energy. So, which is overall, it's not awful, tactically speaking. Okay. Next phase. Huh. Okay, looks like there's a bug there. Okay, in theory I should be able to fire, do the damage again on the Zinni at range 0. Now, let's look at this Zinni just for a moment. Okay, it's auto kill. I'm not auto kill. I mean, it's auto hit. So I don't even have to roll because of as I mentioned here and you saw on the chart, range 0, overload 1 to 6. So I roll 1 or anything between 1 and 6. A die only has 6 sides and goes from 1 to 6. So it's automatically hit. So that's 10 points of damage per. So that's 40 points of damage. So if I actually did the application, I would probably completely destroy this ship. It would be gone. So the good thing that there's looks like there's a little bug here. So I can't do it. So, and this is what I'm going to do is, okay, next phase, launch, no, okay, speed change back to 16, movement, okay, we'll go on to impulse 6. And then, okay, so let's move, next phase, move again, move away from the gaping hulk. Okay, move again because we're done firing. And now let's, okay, this we're going to turn. As you notice, when you turn, okay, it puts a point of turn here. And then it's, so okay, you change facing after 17 moves. So it shows you how many moves have you been doing. And Klingons turn to 1812. C. Next impulse. Okay, nothing to do. Launch phase. Speed change, so I'm still going to stay where I am. With speed 16. Okay, so let's go straight. Next phase. Fine, and go straight. Okay, next phase. Defensive fire, offensive fire, other functions, launch phase, and the turn phase. Now, for the Klingons, they don't really have anything to do. For the Federation, and the end of turn, if you have additional power available, you can actually use that to overload your photons. But nope. Okay, now we're on to energy allocation, and we would then go switch over to the energy allocation. And we begin. Actually, that's wrong. There's a bug there. It should be 2. I'll fix that. But anyhow, that shows you, the online client, how how to play, and that's the beginning of play. So, well, I will hopefully, well, we can continue this. Probably not next week, but the next time I'll go on to the next lesson about learning both the online client and learning about how to play Federation Commander. Obviously, if you have any questions, feel free to email me at sfuoncall@gmail.com. That's SFUONCALL at gmail.com. For those who, so you know how to spell it. Obviously, I'm also on Twitter. You want to send me a message there? Feel free. It's SFU on call. And I kind of monitor my Facebook group. So you want to post there, you can post there. And that's SFU on call. Also, obviously, you can post things on the SFU discussion board on the StarfleetGames.com website. So with that, I will wrap this up. Hopefully you enjoyed the learning a little more about Federation Commander, how it's played. If again, I said, if you have any questions, feel free to send them to me. And with that, I am Paul Franz, and I bid you a good night.